Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti, hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. And where you are, wherever you are, if it's raining, please keep warm. If it's sunny, please keep cool in the shade. I am joined today by one Mr. Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Going great, Armando. It's great to be here.
Good that you're here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a fantastic show for you today. We want to welcome you to Made in Canada. Today we are taking a look back at the Barenaked Ladies debut release, Gordon. Now, just a bit about Barenaked Ladies. Barenaked Ladies, as a story overall, as a band, is quite astounding. Forming in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, which is in the east end of Toronto. I know it well, being from Toronto. They were primarily a duo in 1988, consisting of one Stephen Page on lead vocals and guitars, and also one Ed Robertson on guitars and lead vocals. They were soon joined by the brothers Cregan, Jim on bass and Andy on keyboards. And in 1990, Tyler Stewart joined the band to make it a five-piece on drums and percussion. Now, Bare Naked Ladies had what you would call chutzpah, or a lot of balls, in terms of their performing whenever and wherever they could. Um, they released five demo EPs. The most notable one was called the Yellow Tape, which eventually would sell platinum in Canada, selling 100,000 copies of an independent release cassette, which is quite astounding. Now, the Bare Naked Ladies, in terms of their musical style, uh, basically it's listed as folk, alternative rock, comedy rock, and when you listen to Gordon, it's pretty much all that, but we'll get into that. Now, I'll give you the specifics on Gordon. Upon the success of the independently released demo tape, the yellow tape, they signed. Well, first of all, I'm going to backtrack. They appeared on a local TV station's program called Speaker's Corner, which were aired on Channel 7 City TV in Toronto. Now, Speaker's Corner was a video booth that was located on the corner of Queen and John Street, where individuals would go in and just air their grievances or their praises about whatever was going on socially, politically. So Bare Naked Ladies wanted to get as much exposure as they could. They went in, put in $1 in the machine, and performed an acoustic version, obviously, of Be My Yoko Ono. And that video was aired, and it got the attention of the people at Much Music at the time. And they called them up and said, "Look, we need you to come in. This is great. Like, this is fantastic. Please come in. We want to talk to you." Well, that got the attention of Reprise Records and Sire Records through Warner's, and they signed a deal and eventually would record Gordon. Now, Gordon was released on July 28th, 1992, and it was produced by Michael Philip Wojowoda. If I say that wrong, I'm
I think
sorry.
so, yeah.
But also, I failed to mention that prior to Gordon, the release of Gordon, Bare Naked Ladies appeared on a Bruce Cockburn tribute album called Kick at the Darkness, which was released on Intrepid Records. That album also features such contributions as from Jane Sibrey, etc. But Lovers in a Dangerous Time, which was the song that they had recorded for the tribute album, reached number 16 in the Canadian charts. It was that popular. They did a complete rearrangement of the track, and it's simply fantastic. Now, with regards to Gordon, there are 15 tracks on the album with a whopping playing time of 59 minutes and 15 seconds. Now, I have known of, obviously, Bare Naked Ladies since, they came out with Gordon. But I want to get Ken's perspective on this album and his perspective of the band. I would also like to mention that Gordon has gone on to sell diamond status in Canada, 1 million copies, and has gone gold in the US. So, without further ado, Ken.
Thank you, Armando. Um, of course, you familiar with Gordon. You are a fellow Canadian with the guys.
Mhm.
Um, at the time I discovered them, I was living in southern Louisiana in the States, just about as far away from you and them as I could get.
Mhm.
No radio play, of course. Uh, no social media, blah, blah, blah. But I had a coworker where I was working that was from Canada. And it was probably around 1993. Um, and she had a copy of the CD. And she goes, you like quirky music? You might like this. She was right. Um,
Okay.
if you like the zaniness of the Monkees, you'll probably like Barenaked Ladies, especially in their early years. Um, I think of the difference between the original cover of Gordon, where they're kind of being goofy and pictures of the band being goofy like the Monkees. Um, but um, but yeah, this album is just it's just amazing. And they walked into the studio when they finally got to make this record, and like you said, they would play anywhere. And so this is one of the bands that, I mean, if you want to be a successful band, that's kind of the way you got to do it.
Yep.
That those were the days before, making an Instagram and being discovered. They paid their dues. I
Yes, they
mean,
did.
they define that term, paying their dues. And so by the time they got a chance to record this album, they had it all together. I would imagine if they could have, it would have, this would have been longer. And of course, if this had been originally released on vinyl, it probably would have been a double album just
Yeah.
for time. But thank goodness for CDs at the
Yeah.
time.
And I should say too that, I didn't mean to cut you off, but initial sales of Gordon in the US were modest. But after the release of their live album, Rock Spectacle,
Yeah.
and the release of the single 1 Week, the
Yep.
sales took off. 1 Week being from the album Stunt, which would eventually become a 3 million seller for the band and for Reprise Records.
Mm.
But yeah, they were a band that they hit the ground running and they toured all over America, wherever they could get a gig.
Mhm.
And they did it old school.
Yeah.
They did it old school. So, but I'm sorry, I
And
didn't mean
I
to cut you off.
imagine that would have been for Americans, especially not familiar with the band, seeing them on stage with that incredible energy and the humor of their songs and everything. It must have been mind blowing. And
It
in
was.
addition to that, they sound fantastic. The musicianship of this band is unbelievable, and it was that way from this debut album.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned the style. Like I said, the websites call it acoustic pop, humorous alt rock, or whatever. But on this one album alone, there is a lot more variety than that. I would even
Yeah.
put in it's got a lot of folk and jazz influences also.
Yeah. The lead off track, Hello City. Uh, the the instrumentation leans heavily on doo-wop and jazz.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of again, with the harmony vocals, it does lean on doo-wop quite a bit. And they are so in sync with one another, uh, in terms of their interwoven vocals, I call them, because they are just so in the pocket vocally
Oh yeah.
in terms of being able to deliver good quality harmony vocals. I mean, yeah, um, this album, Gordon, is pretty much a mixed bag of influences. You've got jazz, you've got pop of Enid, you've got a bit of ska influence on songs like Grade Nine, um, which is track three. And Grade Nine is just it's amazing. I mean, we've talked about this, and I should state too, the reason for this episode is because on our episode, a series that aired, sorry, in September of Going for the One, this was one of Ken's favorite debut albums. And it
Oh,
got me to thinking, wait a minute, we should do an episode on Barenaked Ladies and Gordon. And with Grade Nine, the song Grade Nine, track three, it is just, this album is Canadian through and through. I mean, there's no way around that. But the influences are very evident on the track Grade Nine, where, you're talking about teenage boys, the angst they're feeling about fitting in high school, and just, but they do it in such a comical way, but a factual way that it is
yes.
simply amazing. And then when they break into, their little run of Tom Sawyer, and it's got to be said, both Stephen Page and Ed Rumberton, along with the rest of the band, are big Rush fans. Okay, and I failed to mention they met in grade school as children because they were in what was called the gifted program. And they just struck up a friendship from there, and they reconnected after a Peter Gabriel concert that they were at, and they went from there. So, but just a second here with Grade Nine, it is this song Grade Nine. It is so fantastic, and it also incorporates the Lucine Linus theme from Vince Guaraldi, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is just so
The
masterfully
mu-
done.
yeah, the arrangement and the musicianship is just absolutely amazing. And
Yeah,
not only is it funny, but it's done to this bouncy ska flavored
it,
tune.
rhythm. It's a ska drum pattern. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's if you've ever, especially if you've ever been a band geek as a
mhm.
kid like I was, holy cow, it doesn't matter they're from Canada. Band
Yeah.
geeks is a universal concept.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I was. I've got stories that I
Yeah.
my friends hate when I start to tell. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is a circus in a song. It
Yeah.
is amazing. And and
Yeah.
and and of course we're going to say the same thing about many of the other songs on here too.
Oh
But
yeah.
that one is especially relatable.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not just being in grade nine is not just a Canadian experience. It's a universal experience.
Universal. Yeah.
And but the fact that again that they incorporated a run through of Tom Sawyer from Rush, and then they went into the Lucien Linus theme. You know,
Yeah, and there's
it's
references to Stairway to Heaven
Stairway
and
to Heaven
lyrics
and Duran
and
Duran, and yeah, it's
being stuffed in a locker,
yeah, yeah,
school locker. It's just yeah, because usually in school systems in the US, you have junior, senior high school.
yeah,
So you could be the big boss in junior high school, but then when you go into senior high school at grade nine, you're the fresh fish. You're not the
exactly,
you're not the biggie anymore,
exactly.
and you're the one that's going to get it. So yeah,
Hmm.
incredible.
But as good as Grade Nine is, what this album does, and it does very well, it mixes styles of music in terms of lyrical content, and it's there's a good, I guess you call it, juxtaposition between the comedy aspect and the serious aspect in terms of the introspective lyrics, and serious themes. Following Grade 9, you have the single Brian Wilson. With the lead-off lyric, drove downtown in the rain, 9:30 on a Tuesday night, just to check out the late night record shops. Now, in Toronto, the record stores that were open, like A&A, Sam the Record Man, HMV, Music World, would be open late on Friday and Saturday nights, possibly even Thursday nights. I remember this. So that for me is
Mhm.
a hell of a mind screw in terms of like remembering
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah,
Because I used to live in downtown Toronto, and I'd be driving downtown on Friday and Saturday nights in my power chair, and I'd be passing by HMV, and they'd be open till midnight. So, um,
yeah,
but Brian Wilson gained, as a single, it was a hit, and it also gained the attention of one Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. And he started, I think it was you that told me this. He
yeah.
started to perform this in his shows.
Yes,
Brian Wilson
they
did.
struck up
So,
a they struck up a friendship.
yeah,
They were a little bit concerned, when they found out that he had heard about the album, that he would be offended, but he wasn't. He embraced it.
yeah.
And like I said, um, um, he eventually performed it itself. And I read somewhere that there was like a Brian Wilson tribute concert when he was still alive,
Hmm.
and Barenaked Ladies were invited on stage, and I think he joined them in doing this song.
Okay.
And that was the only original or non-Brian Wilson composition performed in that concert.
Okay. Well, that is
Um,
quite the honor too. And it's
yeah,
quite the feat.
and it's and the track, it's really a standout, and it starts off kind of melancholy and introspective. It's about depression and identity, and
Yeah.
um, all in the vessel of admiring Brian Wilson, the genius of Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys,
Yeah.
and um, and kind of using what Brian Wilson went through during that period of his life.
Yeah.
And the song describes it. Brian Wilson built in his house this large sandbox, literally,
Yeah.
and had his grand piano put in it,
In
and
the
he would
living
sit
room.
in that sandbox.
In the
And
living
so
room.
all
Yeah.
these references are in this
Yeah.
song, and it's a incredible recognition of his genius, his struggles,
Yeah.
and actually relating to those struggles.
Hmm.
Um, because there's a lot of talk about mental illness and stuff like that. Well, everybody's got some mental illness to some level,
Hmm.
and this is not a new thing.
No.
And Brian Wilson's breakdown and all of that is very, very well documented. But this just goes to show that there is such a strong link to genius, literal genius,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
emotional struggles. It's
Very
and
true.
so in so many ways, in so many levels, it's just an amazing song.
It
It's like I
is.
say, it starts off melancholic, but then the tempo picks up,
Very much so.
and it feels like, oh, this is a dance song. And then you listen to the lyrics. How are they juxtaposing the subject matter with this little jaunty melody?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And when you first hear the lyrics, I'm lying in bed just like Brian Wilson did. you're
Yeah.
thinking, okay, you know what? They're still carrying on they're still continuing the comedy rock aspect, but the lyrics are quite introspective and
Yes.
quite deep in terms of what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
And then when you move on with the album, the next track is "Be My Yoko Ono," which
Yes,
uh,
that Yoko Ono.
yeah, it's just talking about the relationship of John and Yoko, and then saying you can be my Yoko Ono, you can follow me wherever I may go. Um, and it's done in such a comical way.
Yes.
But if you listen to it, the intricate harmonies on background are just so locked in. I mean, it is amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. And Yoko Ono said she had heard the song and she liked it quite a bit. So they were slowly
Okay.
gaining popularity with this from other artists and respect from other artists. Now, following Yoko Ono, you have the song "Wrap Your Arms Around Me." This is where the introspection comes in, more deeper
Yes.
lyrics about, from what I gather, is a dysfunctional relationship between two individuals. And to me, it's left quite ambiguous as to whether or not the relationship has been solved or any issues have been solved.
Yeah.
Um, Quite disturbing, I should say. What a Good Boy is next, track 7, which was one of the singles from the album. And it's in 3 minutes and 52 seconds, they managed to encapsulate the feelings of inadequacies and pressures that
Yeah.
any individual in society would feel,
Yeah.
whether you're male, female, gay or straight, whatever. It's just,
Mhm.
and what maybe inadvertently pressures that are put on you by society, by your family, by your friends, the pressure to conform, to fit in when you really don't want to, or you really don't feel like you should, you know.
Right. Well,
Um,
one of the universal themes in life is who am I and and especially where do I belong? Um, and especially for young people, I can't imagine what it would be like now, but even with me, it's like, you've got your peers, you know, um, so you got peer pressure. And like I said, I was a band geek, so that was the category, that I was
mhm.
thrust into. Um, but still, I mean, even especially going into young adulthood, career, family,
Yeah, yeah.
all of that. And, you know, social expectations
Are you
have
gonna get
never been have
married?
never been easy.
Are
Yeah.
you gonna get married? Are you gonna have kids? How many kids are you gonna have? How much money are you gonna make? Can you support them? It's just, yeah. It
Yeah, and so the song and some other song here too just really demonstrate um, the depth of which they wrote or write even
Yeah,
even now.
yeah.
It wasn't just all goofing around and whatever.
And
So just amazing.
what I find interesting about this song, it tackles the issues from when you're actually born. Like you're not even given a
Yeah,
chance to be a
yeah,
kid and to
yeah.
gain your identity. You're feeling strangled right from the minute you come out of the womb.
Sure.
And it's like, wait a second here.
Yeah,
And he mentions the lyric, it's the hair shirt I wear. And it's the hair shirt I wear is from the hair, it's from you, your brown hair. It's from me, from
mhm,
your brown hair. So basically, he's saying that society as a whole has given him this cross to bear, this
yeah,
albatross around his neck kind of thing. So yeah, it's quite intricate in terms of the lyrical content, introspective, intricate in terms of the arrangements of the song. I mean, largely it's an acoustic album. I mean,
yeah,
which is refreshing at this point in time.
yes.
But yeah, it's quite it's quite deep. Um, and then we get into a bit of comedy here. The next song after What a Good Boy, we have The King of Bedside Manor, clocking in at 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Now, most of these songs range in between the 2 minute to the 4 minute range. Now, uh,
They fit a lot into that
yes,
time
yes,
too. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, it's a character sketch
yes,
of a narcissistic ladies man.
exactly,
And you
exactly.
can picture him with the pencil thin mustache,
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
50s, and it's like almost kind of like a noir themed song.
Exactly. And again, the pace of the song is so frenetic in terms of just going running through it.
Vaudevillian,
And
yeah.
yeah, very vaudevillian, good description. And this was one song that they had trouble recording. So the idea was for them to strip naked in the
Yes.
studio, all bare bones, no hang-ups, no issues, just go in there and just record this song. And I can just imagine the producer and the engineer and the control room going, "What the hell are these guys doing?" But
Especially performing this song. Yeah.
exactly. But
And I
I
believe
mean,
that started off
a
a
tradition
tradition
of
that
doing
on
it. Yeah.
every album they would one of the songs they would record on every album they would do it naked.
Yep. Yep.
Crazy.
And
I love it.
but in this song, they also uh, shout out references to Sticks with Mr. Roboto.
Mhm. Yes.
So it's like they don't need an excuse to shout out homage or to pay homage to anyone. They just do it, okay?
They just
And
throw
they
it in there.
and they do it so well. Oh my
Yes.
God. They do it so well. Now, after that comes serious. Like th there's a good mix of comedy and seriousness on this album. Up next is the track Box Set. And I like this track. To me, it's got light and tinge piano,
Yes.
fantastic bass work on this. Just nice change in tempo, like in time signature and stuff. But this the lyrical content is basically about this what we perceive to be a washed up rock star trying to stay relevant and trying to make his audience happy, but he can't achieve what he used to achieve in his earlier days, in his younger days. So okay, you know what? He basically says, I'm going to give everything I have to you musically in a box set. Let's go through this. Disc one, you got the hits. Okay. Disc two, you got the remixes. Disc three, you got the singles and the edits. Disc four, you've got the live material. Okay. Disc five, you've got all the dance remixes so that I'm relevant to whatever, you know, and but it's obviously done tongue in cheek, but it's done so well
Yeah.
and just beautifully done. And
Yeah. One disc is him in a play school play,
yeah,
a preschool play,
yeah.
but he forgot his lines, so the disc is blank. Yeah, Armando, I'll when I hear this song, I think of you,
Oh my
Mr.
God.
Box Set,
Oh my God.
who
Okay.
has more box sets than even I do, and that's saying an awful lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the satire in this is just so incredible, and it really does reflect an element of the music industry where this guy's as a one-hit wonder has been, and the record company is milking him for every single thing. And then the song says, then you know if you still want my song, here it is in my box set. They play it
Exactly.
every night on old time radio, and it's hard to describe the tongue-in-cheekness of this stuff. Now, we make these songs sound very silly. There is that frantic silliness aspect of it, but we cannot adequately communicate how good the music is in this. This isn't Dr. Demento stuff.
No.
This is
Let,
yeah,
let,
it's
let
so
me,
well done.
yeah, I like the fact that you mentioned Dr. Demento. Let me add to that. For those of you out there, this is not, and I repeat to you, this is not Weird Al Yankovic style of music. This is good, intricate, harmonic, textured, alternate rock pop music
Yeah.
delivered with flair, intricacy, and style.
Yes.
Like I can
Good-natured humor.
good
Even if you
nature
didn't, if you know, even if you didn't understand what the lyrics were, it's like, damn, that's a catchy tune.
exactly.
That's a catchy song.
Exactly. And just to take a step back, for a band, a brand new band signed to a major label, Reprise Sire Records, to release on their debut album a song titled Box Set, detailing the washed up nature of the music business, says quite a lot.
Quite a lot.
It really does. It really does. You could tell, looking back, you could tell that they were in this for the long haul. This was not a flash in the pan artist.
Yeah.
And
And the band is virtually the same now, same members now as it was then.
yes, I should say that there have been two changes. Uh, Andy Cregan left the band to focus on other musical projects and go back to school in 1995. And they replaced him with multi-instrumentalist Kevin Hearn
Mhm.
in 2006. No, 2006. Listen to me. Make a mistake. In 1995, sorry. And they replaced him again with Kevin Hearn, multi-instrumentalist in 96, who has been with the band ever since. Now this is where it is. Stephen Page left the band around 2008, 2009. For amicably, they decided to split, and he has gone on to have his own solo career in theater and in releasing albums. But pretty much the band has remained a four-piece ever since. Their most recent release is an album called In Flight, which was released in 2023. They have 14 studio albums to date. But getting back to Gordon, yeah, this is an album that really needs to be listened to. If we go on with the other songs on the album, you have songs of pure jazz with I Love You, uh, songs like New Kid on the Block, where lyrically it takes a swipe at, being popular and being the next flavor,
Hmm.
the next
Hmm.
big thing on the charts. But you know what? Before you know it, you're done, you know. And next up we have also Blame It On Me, which again, fantastic.
Incredible.
The harmonies on this track is just amazing. If we continue, uh, the one song that basically is acoustic guitar and cello provided by Jim Cregan. And we gotta say, these musicians are multi-instrumentalists, like of the utmost upper echelon in terms of their caliber musicianship. The flag basically talks about a woman being in a abusive relationship and basically saying she's telling her husband, nobody wins if we're both waving a flag. Like we need to either call a draw on this or I'm leaving. We're done.
Yeah.
But there's no winner in these situations.
Yeah.
Uh, Up next,
And the
sorry.
great thing about that being stripped down to just guitar and cello, um, is it really brings out the lyrical and melodical content of the song.
Yeah.
It draws your ear to um, what the song is about, and
Yeah.
then right at the end, it breaks off into these incredible full harmonies.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, the juxtaposition between the humor and the deep, serious lyrics, reflective lyrics. Not just that they're deep, but they're incredibly relatable.
Yeah.
Um, and and yeah, for a song like this, you've got New Kid on the Block, which is very much in the vein of box set. Um, you mentioned the Blame It on Me, a wonderful ballad about guilt, emotional responsibility, rich harmonies, strong melody.
Yeah.
The same, like I said, the same with the flag. You go from one end of the gamut of to the other,
Hmm.
and whether it's a humorous song or one of these heartfelt songs, they mix these together so well on this album. It's
Yeah.
mind blowing.
It's a well balanced album.
Yeah.
And most, we've talked about albums being front loaded or top heavy.
Mhm.
This album is not one of them. I
No.
mean, there are songs on here that all throughout the album, all through, all 59 minutes and 15 seconds, that they are just amazing.
Yeah.
After the flag, just to quickly continue, we have If I Had $1 Million.
Yeah.
And it's basically a really mid-tempo paced track featuring brushes on the drums,
Yeah.
really light drum work on this. Beautiful accordion that was
Incredible.
done. And it basically talks about if what they would do if they had a million
I know.
dollars, and then they end the song with I'd be rich, like that's like if they had it. I mean, like all these sorts of things, like referencing like craft dinner and, they would have craft dinner and they have,
Yeah.
little finger sandwiches, like, with the crust cut off and
Yeah,
all
and
like
packets
packets of
of
expensive ketchups
expensive
and
ketchups. Yeah.
exotic ketchups and
I
whatever.
think I think it I don't know if they still do or not, but for a long time this was their encore
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure
because
if they did
they
that.
would just stretch it out.
Yeah.
They would improv on the lyrics and everything. And I never got to see them
Yeah.
live, but yeah, this is the penultimate you know
Yeah.
party song, party band, kind of whatever.
Yeah. And some of these songs, like If I Had $1 Million, Be My Yoko Ono, also appeared on the yellow tape on
Yeah, yeah.
the demo that they did. So, but the album ends off with a track called Crazy. Uh, and Ed Robertson's on lead vocals, and he's basically saying all of his faults and what he and he knows he's got these faults and these phobias
I'm
and
crazy just like you.
yeah,
Yep.
like it's an every person song, and it's a good way to end the album.
It's a
Uh,
jazzy jam. It really is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I found it. I've listened to the album like f 4 times before doing this episode. I never found myself skipping a song.
Yeah.
I've never found myself skipping a song in this album. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. And when they would move on, they would release, maybe You Should Drive on the sophomore release in 1994. Um,
Born on a
and
pirate ship. Yeah.
yeah, but okay, Gordon was very much uh, in terms of a group effort, in terms of a collaborative effort between Ed Robertson, and Stephen Page. And reading up on the band, it was starting with Maybe You Should Drive that they started writing separately. And the lyrical content started to get more introspective and reflective in terms of looking back on your life and all that. Um, but no less powerful,
Yep.
no no less potent,
Yep.
and no less dripping with Canadiana references. Just a little side note: the song "Jane" that leads off Maybe You Should Drive, was co-written with Stephen Page and Stephen Duffy.
Definitely.
Now, Stephen Duffy, if you don't know who he is, multi-British, multi-instrumentalist from Britain. Sorry, one coffee and I'm screwing up, guys. Stephen Duffy would go on to have a long collaborative relationship and friendship with Stephen Page. Stephen Duffy also is one of the original members of Duran Duran. Okay, before he left, before the band took off in terms of popularity. But with regards to Gordon, I felt it was important to talk about this album. I have found a new respect for the Barenaked Ladies. I am in the process of buying all of their albums, all 14. Yes, and I will be doing a Barenaked Ladies ranking the albums at some point. But we both felt, and Ken and I both felt, that Gordon needed to be talked about more and given a little more of a spotlight and more respect. Uh, is any more opinions you wanted to offer or insights?
I especially want to lift up the Cregan brothers in
Oh
the
yeah,
band,
oh yeah,
especially Jim Cregan. Most of his bass work on this album is on an upright double bass.
yeah.
It's fretless. They're incredibly difficult to play, and he shines with that bass on so many of these albums, which gives it that a different flavor,
It
than
does.
your standard electric rock and roll bass. And Andy Cregan, oh my gosh, he is probably the biggest instrumentalist, multi-instrumentalist on this band.
Mhm.
He just does everything. And the fact that they do everything and they do everything so well. So if you like just really good um, pop music, catchy pop, alternative pop, whatever you want to call it, but then you like to laugh at the same time, this is it, baby. I mean, I recommend all of the Barenaked Ladies albums that I've heard, but for me, this one just is so packed with everything that they are and representative of who they are. It remains still remains my favorite of theirs,
Yeah,
and I appreciate you, Armando, letting me be in on this video because, like you said, I love this.
no, well, the fact that you refer to this album as a greatest hits album for you, and you've said that quite a few times, so I thought,
Yeah,
no, we need to do something about this. We need to do something on this. No, I think you're welcome to be a part of it. I wouldn't have done it alone because I couldn't do this album justice in terms of the musicality, the arrangements of the vocals, the willingness to go from comedy to more introspective songs. It's just amazing.
amazing.
And you know, the producer said that the only way that he could capture them, like to really capture them, was just to let them go and just
Yeah,
record them
yeah,
because they already knew in their heads what they wanted to do musically.
yeah,
This was an album that was, I'll say this to you, Jack Holtzman of Elektra Records had said about Queen when he received the first Queen album to promote that it was like a finely cut jewel landing in his lap. Because to him, the Queen album, the debut release, had a proportion, a size to it. I look at this album as the same. I look at this album as the same. There's a proportion, there's a size to it, there's a dimension to it that really isn't on most debut albums, and or a good amount of them. And it only, in my very humble opinion, ladies and gentlemen, it only got better from here. And I mean that sincerely.
Yeah,
And I'm surprised that it took me how many years? From 1992 till now to catch up.
there's a lot of music out there, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Like the joke goes, sometimes you have to dig through a ton of crap before you find a pony. So this
There's a
is our
lot,
pony.
there's a lot of crap out there, and this is a hell of a pony. So I mean, there you
Yeah, and
go.
folks, so yeah, so everyone, this is on, as far as I know, all the streaming services.
Yeah.
But there are some good high definition music videos on YouTube to
Yeah.
catch out, to check out. And you can see their musicianship, you can hear it, but you can also see the humor, you can see the zaniness, especially on track two called Enid. Great love song. I recommend it.
For those of you who out there who know about Enid, you know what he's talking about. So,
Yeah.
so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Made in Canada. I look back at Barenaked Ladies and their debut release, Gordon. Please, if you know of this album, please put down in the comments below your view of this album and
Please.
your experience with the Barenaked Ladies. Um, I would have once have said that they were an acquired taste, but I've gained a new respect and a new admiration for the band, and I'm enjoying what I'm hearing from the band, and hopefully you will too if you just give it a chance. Okay. Again, I wish to stress this is not Weird Al Yankovic. This is not a parody band. This is a band of serious musicians who craft fantastic alternative pop and rock songs. Okay. But at the same time, they don't take themselves too seriously,
Yeah.
which there's nothing wrong with that. So, again, I want to thank Ken for joining me on this adventure. And we will be back with more episodes of the music. Dan Ken's going to join me and Jim Bricker as well. And this has been fun. So, again, please let us know what you think of Barenaked Ladies and Gordon down below. And click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we got coming up. And we hope you enjoyed the going for the one series. And if you haven't checked it out yet, what are you waiting for? You know, you know, go check it out. So, all right. Kansas Shire, I'm Armando Venditti signing off. Please look after yourselves and one another. We'll see you soon on the music den. Bye for now.